Hi, welcome to Real Beer Revolution. My name is Mike, and today we're at Stellies in Klein-Ustenburg, brewing the award-winning Eike Stout. Okay, so here's the grain bill for a 23-litre batch. We have 4 kilograms of pale malt, 500 grams of crystal 150, 350 grams of biscuit malt, 120 grams of roasted barley, 120 grams of black malt, 120 grams of chocolate malt, and 120 grams of malted oats. And while that's crushing, let's go and have a chat with Bruce. So we're here with Bruce at Stellies today, brewing the Eike Stout.
Welcome.
How's my Afrikaans doing?
You're doing okay.
Got taught that one in the week by Beer Country.
Yeah. Sometimes they say stout in Afrikaans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll learn that as well.
The naughty beer.
So tell us the story behind Stellies. When did you guys get going? When did you move into this premise?
Well, the idea started way back in 2010. Started brewing at home in 2011 after a transcontinental camping trip.
Yes.
Trying beers from all around the world, and realized that there weren't so many good beers in South Africa as we were finding around the world. And,
yes.
We decided that was something that needed to change, and we came back to South Africa in 2010 for the World Cup. Never left. Started the brewery, and actually really only went commercial in 2015.
Okay.
We purchased equipment in 2014, arrived in South Africa in 2015, and we opened up the tap room and the brewery premises in 2015. So we've been going for just close on 3 years now.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And today we're brewing the Eike Stout, as I said. And
Yes.
how did that recipe come about?
So the Eike Stout was actually inspired by a beer that we found in the US, the home of craft beer, if you like.
Yep.
We were at a craft beer festival in Savannah, Georgia, and there was just this beautiful imperial stout, which gave us flavors of creme brulee, and it was a little bit unapproachable. Really, really strong double imperial IPA.
Right.
And we decided to try to mimic that, but in a more sessionable way.
Okay.
So we wanted to start in our portfolio. We wanted it to be part of our core range. So we dialed down a imperial stout to be a creme brulee stout or a cream stout with beautiful flavors of chocolate and caramel, and not the typical coffee, smoky flavors that you would get from a regular stout.
Yep.
And then we also add vanilla beans to the fermenter so that we can just soften those edges and just make it nice and drinkable.
And it is really drinkable. I mean, it won Best Beer and Show at the Cape Town Festival of Beers just recently. It also won Best Dark Beer at the Festival of Beers. So, but I think winning Best on Show, I mean, that's the kind of drinkable awards, I like to say. You know, the best dark beer goes all to style, but this one ticks the boxes for best drinkability.
And if you look at social media and when you visit a brewery, you see a lot of glitz and a lot of glamour, and you see the beautiful medals, and you don't always realize the hard work that goes into making a beer, and the amount of cleaning and sanitation and real hours of labor that goes into it. So to win awards like this is really a bit of a pat on the back, and the best part about brewing for me is pouring a beer, and being able to enjoy it, and to know that somebody else has appreciated it and given it an award really makes us proud and keeps us doing all those hard hours and long hours of making it worthwhile.
And it's not the only beer that won an award. We were almost brewing the Honda Bock today. Hey, that was the.
That's right. We had to change plans.
That was the beer that won at the South African National Beer Trophy. Won Best in Show again as well. Not just Best in Category, but Best Beer in Show. So
yeah, it's been a good year. Before we worked weekends, I used to be a golfer, and they call it a Grand Slam if you win all the majors in a single year. So we're kind of trying to say that this is the Grand Slam of beer. And I don't think it's actually ever been done before that the same brewery or same brewer has won both the South African National Beer Trophy and Cape Town Festival of Beer of Show. So we're very, very proud of it, and we're in excellent company, competing with fantastic beers. So yeah, I hope to say that this has really put Stellenbosch Brewing Company on the map, and people recognize that we are about quality brewing and brewing quality beers, and that the beer always comes first in our brewery. I
think so. I mean, like there's been some fantastic beers come out around the country from craft breweries this year as well. So for you guys to be not only competing with them, but winning top medals is very good. And obviously your IPA came close as well, yeah? I mean,
IPA got a silver medal, so nothing to be ashamed of. Any silverware or in the cabinet is appreciated, and the mass hoppiness. When people come in here and say, what is your favorite beer? I start off by saying we love all our children equally, but I do have a little bit of a soft spot for our IPA.
Yeah.
It is a really, really incredible beer to make. In fact, if you've got time, we've got one fermenting at the moment.
Okay.
And it's one of those beers where when you walk into the brewery in the morning and it's the blow off is on, and you just get that whiff of hops when you walk into the brewery. It's just beautiful.
Okay, well, we're going to have a look at that. But thank you so much for having us here, Bruce. We need to get brewing. We need to get going in.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Awesome.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we are douging in, and I like to dough in quite slowly. So we mix 1 scoop at a time in with the water and give it all a good stir, good mix up, making sure that every one of those grains is coated with water to avoid any dough balls and to increase our efficiency as much as possible. And here we are towards the end of doughing in, so you can see it becomes a bit more difficult to stir around. And at this stage, you want to make sure you're stirring all throughout the kettle, top, middle, and bottom. It makes life easier when you have someone helping you, and I was very lucky to have Jonathan, who was visiting Cape Town from the UK on his honeymoon, to assist me. Here we are putting on the mash plate, the top mash plate. So that just slides right down, push it down to as far as the grain bed, and then just give it a little lift up. And there's my son in the shot. He likes to help out with a brew day as well. So the mash schedule for this particular brew is a bit of a complicated mash schedule, and this is where the Grainfather really comes into its own. So it's a 58 degrees C for 10 minutes, 64 degrees C for 20 minutes, 68 degrees C for 20 minutes, 72 degrees C for 15 minutes, and then a mash out of 78 degrees C for a further 10 minutes. And while that's mashing in, we're going to have a quick look inside the brewery. All that grain there is being packed up from a brewing session the night before, and a local chicken farmer comes to collect the grain from Elgin, and they feed this grain to their organic free-range chickens. And here's the IPA that Bruce was telling us about, and the smells were fantastic coming out of that blow-off tube there. Okay, back to the Grainfather, and the mash is complete. We've finished mashing out, so we're going to lift the mash pipe out from the Grainfather, allow all that water to drop back down into the kettle. Everyone came around to watch this. Exciting times in Stellenbosch. And we're on to the sparge. So that 1 litre jug, we're just going to pour as slowly and evenly over the top of that mash plate as possible. We want to make sure that we extract all the remaining sugars from those grains. So you never want more water to go into there than those top metal plates on either side. Okay, so now with sparging complete, all the water is dropped out. We're going to remove that malt pipe from the top of the Grainfather into the bucket there. And like I said, it was great to have Jonathan over from the UK. He really got stuck in and assisted me with this brew day. It's always good to have a helper. And there is the fantastic wort in the kettle. Okay, so there it is coming up to the boil, and we're going to stir all of that protein, all of that foam back into the wort. It takes a bit of time to clear it, and then as soon as that's been stirred in and cleared, we're going to start our timer. And it's a 60-minute boil. And just before that, I'm going to give the bottom a bit of a scrape just to make sure that we don't get any build-up on the bottom of the kettle. And there we go, start the timer, 60-minute boil going. And after 15 minutes, we're going to add our 45-minute hop addition, which is 19 grams of Chinook. Get them all in there, and give them a nice stir in. And at this stage as well, it's good to give the bottom of the kettle a bit of a scrape. And now we have a bit of time before our next edition, so I took a bit of a look around the grounds of the brewery, and it's really situated in a fantastic spot on this beautiful day. Lots of people outside having picnics, fantastic food, great beer, even some pony rides for the kids there, so everyone was having quite a bit of good fun. And inside the tap room, we got to look at all the medals, all the awards that they won for their fantastic beers. Okay, so with 10 minutes to go, I paused the timer on the Grainfather and I connected up the counterflow chiller and I ran boiling hot water through it to sanitize for about 10 minutes. And after that, we start the timer again, bring it back to the boil, we add our lactose addition and our calcium chloride addition. And we give it a really good stir in. You don't want any of that sugar from the lactose to stick to the bottom. Give it a good scrape on the bottom again. Okay, so now the timer is up. Our 0-minute addition is 26 grams of Horizon, and they get a 5-minute hop stand. So the boil is off, and we're just going to stir them in and then leave them for 5 minutes. And then after that 5-minute hop stand, we are going to do a 5-minute whirlpool. And I'm glad to say this is the last time I have to do a whirlpool, as Santa bought me the Grainfather whirlpool attachment for Christmas. After that 5-minute whirlpool, there was a 15-minute stand, and then we started to chill. And we really struggled to chill this day. It was boiling hot in Stellenbosch. The tap water was hot, so we ended up using a lot of ice. Okay, so halfway through chilling, we added our SO4 yeast, 2 packets, 2 11.5 gram packets of SO4, and we just hydrated with water in the fermenter there. Okay, so at the end of that, we put the lid on and we're going to ferment it for about 2 weeks until the final gravities drop correctly at 18 degrees C. So with all that done, the only thing left to do was to have a look in the brewery and see if we can find the squirrel. And we found the squirrel, there he is. Quite a piece of art. So when fermentation is complete, we're going to add some vanilla to the beer. So we sanitize a very small little jar like this, split open a vanilla pod. We use 1 vanilla pod in about 15 milliliters of brandy. So split open the vanilla pod, scrape out all of that nice vanilla goodness, all the seeds out from the pod. And you want to place them all in the jar with the pod, getting all the last little bits of seed there. And the brandy is just to make sure that it remains sanitary. So I wanted to cover the vanilla pod and all the seeds with brandy. And in my jar, it probably wasn't small enough. I probably could use a smaller jar. So I think I put a bit more than 15 milliliters of brandy in there, but hey ho, it'll just add to the ABVs at the end. And you want to go ahead and seal that jar up and leave the vanilla in there with the brandy, infusing in the brandy for about 3 to 4 days. And after those 3 to 4 days, when your stout has finished fermenting, then you want to open up the fermenter. Everything inside there is looking quite fantastic. Nice beer produced. We took a sneaky sample at this stage and a gravity reading, and all was very good. And you want to get your brandy that's been infused with the vanilla and pour it into the fermenter. You want to make sure that everything goes in, all the little pods, all the seeds, and all of that brandy. And once all of that is in there, you're going to sanitize around the outside of the fermenter, seal it up, put the lid on, and then that vanilla and brandy is going to infuse with your stout for the next 2 weeks before you're ready to keg or bottle your beer. So there you have it. That was the full recipe of Stellenbosch Brewing Company's Eike Stout, the award-winning Best in Show beer at the Cape Town Festival of Beers this year. I hope this recipe and this video has inspired you to go on and brew your own version of the Eike Stout. And if you do, please share with us the results on social media at Real Beer Revolution. If you like this video, please give us a like on YouTube. It really helps. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks Bruce for sharing your great recipe with us. Until next time, happy brewing.